Well, hello everyone. Let's get started. I see a lot of text messages in the chat. People saying hello. So welcome everyone. I think, everyone is still dropping in, but I'll get started. So let's see how many participants we have right now. Let's see. Oh, 91. Well, that's great. I see that still many people are coming in. Well, I will get started. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the first Mendix Meetup hosted by PostNL. I hope that everyone is doing well. It's great that you're all here today. I believe we had over 200 people applying today for this meetup. So we were absolutely surprised that so many people decided to join this meetup. So it's really our time to shine. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Sophie Karis. I'm working at PostNL in the Mendix domain, and today I'm facilitating this meetup. Together with my colleagues, Ronald Allert, Chris Neutenboom, and Bram Grijze, we organized this meeting. And before we really dive into the content, I would like to give a small introduction about our company. And I'm actually also curious, are there people calling in from another country besides the Netherlands? And if so, just let me know where you're calling in from. That I can see it in the chat, I think. Let me see. Hello from Germany. Oh, I still see a lot of messages coming in. Well, anyways, for the people that are from abroad, Portugal, I see, well, great that also people from other countries are joining today. So just a small introduction about PostNL. We are a logistical company, and our core business is to ship parcels and letters. We're shipping in the Netherlands, but we're also shipping from abroad. And we offer logistical solutions for basically everything that you can think about. So from transport to fulfillment solutions to shipping huge furniture, medicine, plants, and so on. And right now we are in a transition to become a postal tech company. So software such as Mendix is very important for us. Today we would actually like to tell you why we decided to use Mendix, so why, how, and what, and also where we apply these applications in our mission-critical processes. So you can expect a business-sided story today, and in future meetups we would like to go more in depth later about that at the end of this meetup. For now, I would like to give the floor to Mark Manning. Mark is from Mendix, all the way from Boston, USA, and he will moderate this meeting today. We decided to use an interactive format, so Mark is asking questions and my colleagues are answering. So enjoy. Mark, over to you.
Thank you, Sophie. Good evening to most folks attending. Good morning to me in Boston. Mark Manning. I am the customer evangelist at Mendix. I'll be hosting the interview portion of the meetup today. We'll be talking with Ronald, the PostNL technology lead, and Bram and Chris, PostNL platform owners, about the incredible work they've been up to. You'll notice a Q&A function at the bottom of the window. If any questions come up during the presentation, please enter them there rather than in the chat window. And if you have a question for a particular attendee, just note who that is if it's relevant. We'll have some time at the end where we'll answer the submitted questions. But I wanted to get started with Ronald. Ronald, do we have you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, so my name is Ronald Allard. I'm with the company for about 12 years. Did a lot in architecture and currently focusing on the technology choices within the company and creating the engineering community, as we call it. I'm glad to be in this meetup.
Fantastic. And I figure we'll start from start. Where did this all start? What prompted such a big change in your IT systems and your way of working?
So we've been working on this for quite some time, and we started this actually in moving all our applications from the data center to the various clouds we chose, and we yes. And we chose many years back to close our data center. We chose for every channel, every domain, customer channel, business support domain, and logistics, the best clouds that would provide us with the services needed there. And mainly in logistics, it was driven by the need for flexibility in our IT landscape that for driving our logistics business. And that's why we started to create new systems in our logistics part, mainly focusing on this flexibility.
Excellent. And where does low code fit in? Where does Mendix fit in? And how is it solving this problem? So was technology the only portion of it too? Or the way of working it would change?
Technology is a big part of the choices we made back then. But we also had a lot of experience with Mendix. We started a few years before in small applications, and we grew comfortable with Mendix in different domains, and we also did some order management applications in small businesses we had, and we were very happy with that. And we mainly thought, well, this Mendix applications really give us a business focus doing development. And that was also an important part of the choice we made.
There's a certain level of responsiveness to this, it seems, that business problems or ideas are sort of driving functionality. And there's a balance there for sure. And how do you think about focusing on flexibility and responsiveness to business problems and kind of maintaining stability and reliability?
Yeah, so we chose to use Mendix Cloud for creating this balance between business, because it brought us business focus on the Mendix platform, of course, but it also gave us the opportunity to focus on these business problems while create easily deploying and getting without having to create a lot of technical stuff to manage it. And these systems are really as we will see in this meetup also, are really in our core of our logistics process. So we need this reliability without losing this business focus. So that's why we make the choices that we made.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what does that development process look like? So there's business focus there, to be sure. And then there's criticality when you begin deploying and operating. How do you think about that?
Yeah, so we have a process in place where we align to business stakeholders, of course, an agile process, and we create lots of features for the systems that we need. But we do it in a way that we really make sure that the reliability of the systems are well taken care of, and not because these are 24/7 systems that need to be always there.
It's sensible. And I think maybe the most descriptive way to go through this might be the vision for where you're taking the function in first and last mile operations, for instance.
Yeah, so we chose to use Mendix, for instance, in our order management systems. And we chose not to build one big system containing everything that we do in our organization. We chose to actually create a system per what we call an operator, so executor of logistics operations, and focusing on the problems and the challenges there within that operator and fixing them locally. And then orchestrate the shipments coming in over these operators, which we will also see later in this meeting.
That makes sense. And when you can implement a system sort of per operator, could you explain to us really what kind of flexibility you have to address their particular needs and maybe some examples of of what that flexibility gives you?
So the flexibility is in the organizational part where we talk about which features to prioritize and how to implement them. But also in the Mendix platform itself, by focusing on the business questions that are there, and by really zooming in on these business questions instead of just looking at technology from a technology side. And of course, in some places we have larger volumes than others, and where we have large volumes, we really have a lot. So technical problems are still to be solved, technical challenges are still to be solved, but they will not. They do not influence the businesses that have lower volumes, for instance.
Interesting stuff. And if I recall, there's a diagram on here that Sophie may be able to queue up. And I'd love you to bring us through this and kind of explain the way you look at that value chain beginning to end.
Yeah, so this is our value chain, starting with, we took as example the e-commerce players within the Benelux. And our process is basically in 3 steps. So we have collecting shipments and parcels at these warehouses of these people. We sort these parcels in our sorting centers, and then we do our last mile distribution from the depots within the Netherlands. We distribute to the different people that want to have their parcels delivered. And basically, we use Mendix on many parts of this process. But like I said, we focus on order management within the collection partners that we have in our own collection units, and focus on the order management systems within the distribution centers for last mile distribution. And we use Mendix to orchestrate all the shipments we have over the different partners and parties that we help us do this business.
Excellent. It's a really helpful framework for thinking about these systems, especially as we go on and talk to the other folks here. Okay. Thank you, Ronald, for your perspective.
Okay.
I want to move over to Bram. Bram, do we have you here?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we do. Hello.
Fantastic. Could you introduce yourself and what you do for PostNL, please?
Yes, my name is Bram Gijzen. I work within PostNL for 8 years now, and currently as a chief platform owner for the orchestration platform, in which the core is made on Mendix, the routing platform, so to say.
Excellent. And when you talk about an orchestration platform, would you mind explaining to attendees what you mean by that and what the goals for that platform are?
Yeah, so sure, I can. I think that it's best if you also click through, because I have some depicted there that gives some image. So basically here in the middle, you'll see what we call the orchestration platform. And we've built a platform that's in between senders, operators, and receivers. So a 3-sided platform is created there. And the main goal in one sentence is creating virtual supply chains for every single item. So every single item has its optimum supply chain, what's best suited for what's needed, what the customer wants, and most efficient. And also, we were organized really sender focused, but now we're shifting also our attention to receivers and want to put receivers more in control of their parcel, which makes the klanttevredenheid, how happy customers with us are better, but also it makes logistics more efficient, because if you deliver where customers are, where receivers are, then your logistics is more efficient, because you only have to do one delivery attempt, for instance.
Excellent. There's a lot of factors at play here, seemingly. Where a parcel's coming from, when it's due, who's delivering it, where. Could you talk about how the platform manages this kind of complexity?
Yeah, sure. I will stay on the top level because it's really granular and really deep, and I love to talk about this, so I can talk about this all day, but I won't do that. So first of all, basically what we do is when an order comes in, we're going to enrich it with a lot of data that we have, and also run it through some algorithms, some machine learning algorithms to do some predictions. So one of the really cool things here is we predict when the parcel comes in, because we don't know from the customer order yet. Parcel can come in later, and our data science department developed a algorithm model that predicts that, and it has been imported into it's been changed to Java code and imported in the Mendix platform, and there it performs with 0.5 milliseconds per forecast. I think that's a great example of our enrichment and how performant Mendix is in our operations. So when we have enriched this information, we make a decision on what we're going to do with the parcel, but usually you have also conflict of interest. So for instance, if a receiver says, okay, I don't mind receiving my parcel in a safe place, under a bench or in the garden or in a Clico, like a garbage bin, but the receiver, for instance, asks for a signature on delivery, then you can do that. So those kind of trade-offs and decisions are made between the three actors in the platform. And when we decide on what, we decide on the how, and there the execution plan is created, as we call it, the virtual supply chain. We decide on the step that's needed. That's usually on the level that you saw, sorting, delivery. Sometimes we do also assembly for furniture. And then we decide on the operators who's going to do each step, who's going to do each leg in the execution plan. And we end this step by putting constraints and tolerances in which this execution plan is still valid. So for instance, when a parcel appears to be too big for a certain operator, you want to make a new plan, and that's put up on there. So I think that's the level of detail we want to dive in right now, but that gives you an idea about the complexity that we handle there.
Sure. And it does sound sort of like there's already a tremendous amount of complexity, but with any system, you're going to iterate. How do you think about the system evolving over time? What happens when somebody asks for new functionality? How do you know if the system is positively affecting the business and if these changes are driving positive change?
Yeah, I think good question. So we have so first of all, how do we measure if the impact that we have? Basically, we measure everything. That started with the health of the system, and this is mission critical, so it can't go down. So everything needs to be always up and running and performant enough. But we also started measuring the value of decisions. So every decision that we make, we depict in a dashboard, and we show to feature owners and business owners. And then we're also starting to do experiments with adding value, what a single decision is worth for the organization. And sometimes optimizing, so then it's easy. So we say we take this route, then it's like 50 cents cheaper for that parcel. But sometimes it's the net promoter score or the churn rate that you lower, and that's sometimes a bit easier. And the other point is that one of the things that we really think about a lot. Mendix is a great tool. It's really fast in building stuff, but there's also a danger in it for us. And the danger is that we create something that we can't control anymore. So you have this Winchester house. If you don't know it, Google it. You don't want to create a Winchester house from the software because that's literally not maintainable. So we force ourselves to think in reusable components, reusable units, and always think, okay, this new functionality, in what reusable component will it land? And if it doesn't fit somewhere, what new reusable component should we make? And to force ourselves in that thinking, I hope in 2 or 3 years the platform is still attractive. But nobody knows what will happen in the future, obviously.
I have faith. So it does sound like there's a decent amount of appetite for optimizing the supply chain from the business, especially. How do you think about improving that conversation over time? better collaborating, making better decisions?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Also, really a topic for us. Recently, I read a great article that the firms that are winning, digital firms, are not only investing highly in the technology, but also in the use of the technology, in governance, in data analysts, in business analysts, people who can really configure and can make optimum use of the technology. So, and here we're driving force for our business. What we really try to make is always that the usable components are changed by configuration itself, so that the business can constantly change the network, make different decisions on a configuration level, and they don't need us to do that. So that's one thing. And in the end, where we want to grow in that way is that we see our logistical network and what we can do as a constant running A/B experiment. And so we're always trying new things, testing. So we also have modules in which you say, okay, like I said, we are mission critical, but sometimes we say, okay, we want to try this only this zip code, or for the first 100 orders that meet the requirement, we're going to do this, and the other that come in today we don't. So we facilitate small amount experiments for testing purposes and see what really happens in real life.
I mean, it's sort of my favorite part of this story that, at first glance, it might be some sort of, big, robust system that you sort of set your watch to, but it's also sort of this foundation or conduit for experimentation and change. So it's good to see you guys thinking about it that way.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Bram, for your time on this. And I think the final portion of this interview is going to be with Chris, who's going to go through the last mile further down this value chain with the order management platform. Chris, do we have you here?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic. Could you introduce yourself, your role in the team?
Well, I'm Chris Neuterbom. I work with PostNL for 15 years in the IT, different IT departments. Since 3.5 years involved in building Mendix software, being responsible for the team that builds the order management system for Parcels, the Parcels division, which consists of about 7-8 people. Yeah, still responsible for that part and extending it further.
Fantastic. In the order management platform itself, could you dive into that? Who it serves, what role it plays?
Yeah, it's important in the last mile. So for every parcel we distribute, we need an order. That's the information which comes along with the physical parcel. Without this information, we can't do effective logistics. So we need this information. It's really important, and this order is processed. The information is enriched in the system, and it's sent along to finally the driver who needs the information to distribute all the parcels properly. What I'm working on is one order management system, this operator order management system for Parcels division, but PostNL consists of a lot of operators. We also, of course, deliver mail. That's an operator, but we have also we do pharma goods, so that's to do with medicine and that kind of stuff. We do cargo, like pallets. We have a truck network. We call all of those networks, they are distribution networks. We call them operators, and each operator has their own order management system, because this order management system in the basis is the same. It does process orders, it does process information about how to deliver goods, but every network, every operator has his own speciality and differences. So that's why it's called an operator order management, because in this operator order management, they are a little bit different because every operator has its own characteristics.
It's interesting, and it's a pretty big scope, that these platforms cover. It's critical, it's robust, but you've got to be responsive enough to business needs that are pretty diverse. This can't have been trivial to architect or to build. And if you could talk about how much the platform supports, how you afford for growth and stability simultaneously, that'd be great.
Yeah, then I'll dive into the parcel case, or the operator order management system for parcels. Well, like you saw in the announcement of this meeting, we do 1 million orders a day, parcels a day. Well, that's not actually true. That's an average for the whole year. In these times, especially in the Corona times, and at the end of the year, we do about 1.6, 1.7 million parcels a day. So there are going 1.6, 1.7 million orders through the system. But it's not only that, also the statuses of parcels being delivered are coming back through the system. So I think in total, each day there will be around 10 million messages coming through the system, be processed by the systems. And it's from early in the morning to late in the evening that they are processed. Yeah, then of course we chose Mendix to do this. So our application is not really, it has a user interface. There are users who use it for planning. I will show it later. But it's mainly, I think for 80% is under the C-level information processing system. And to be able to achieve this performance, we didn't put everything together in one app. We made distributed landscape and microservices landscape, in which all apps, each location, each PostNL location, and you see it here in the picture, is our sorting center. We have 33 of those sorting centers in Holland and Belgium, and still growing. Each sorting center has their own set of apps, so everything is processed in parallel, and that makes us scalable. So if we put in another sorting center, we can put in other apps, and it's becoming less risky, because if something breaks down, then not the whole country is experiencing that. So it's secure, and we can get the performance because of the parallel processing. That's how we solved it with low-code Mendix.
You're thinking 32, 33 distribution centers, a couple of applications each. There's duplication there. Could you talk about your pipeline, your automation, your orchestration? That's got to be difficult to manage.
Yes, because in total we have around 70 apps for this application only, and still growing. Because we are expecting people have now the getting the taste of ordering online, so it will be growing in the future, and we can put new apps in. So along with this application, we created a CI/CD pipeline to do releases, because 70 apps you can't do it manually. You have to automate it, and together with our Mendix partner, the K Group, and PostNL and Mendix, we developed a CI/CD tool which is responsible. I will show it later in this presentation, some screenshots of it. So the release of new software, of new versions, is completely automated. By the push of a button, we can in a few minutes, in like half an hour, we can distribute all the new software towards the apps. And we prefer to do it during daytime. Well, during daytime, there's always operation. So we are aiming for no downtime, but the downtime is now very limited. So if we want to do a release, it's safer to do it during the day, because then everyone is present. If something goes wrong, then everybody can assist to help. And we're trying to make it shorter, so even less downtime, and everything is automated. So that's something which comes along with this distributed system.
I was mentioning this a couple minutes ago with Bram, but it's an interesting foundation for future change. There always seems like there's something new to do, something to optimize, something to experiment with. And given that it sort of takes a village to create something that's impressive, I'm curious about what you have to say about the team that delivers it and the culture that you've created around this way of working.
Yeah, and we come from a situation that PostNL, and Ronald talked about this as well, that we outsourced everything. We had IT partners who built applications for us. When we started building in Mendix, or at least these large applications, so the application Bram was talking about, and this application we started to develop in-house. So we hired consultants, Mendix consultants to build it, and of course a lot of PostNL people were involved to design and to develop. Well, our teams are working in an agile way. We are about 8 to 10 people, and currently we are also creating this engineering culture. So we think we should have a good mix of hired people, so external expertise, Mendix expertise, and own developers. So we're really trying hard to interest people to join PostNL, and that's why we're working on an engineering culture, because we outsourced a lot of IT development, and now we want to do it within PostNL. So that's a challenge. It's a completely new way of working, and we are doing a project on that together with Mendix as well, and with our Mendix partner, the K Group, and PostNL, of course. We are working on this to create this engineering culture. To be able to combine business knowledge with technical knowledge, and to be able to even faster develop new software, because it's a very competitive market, and we have a lot of wishes from the business and a lot of optimization to do in logistics, and that's where IT can help to further to reach this goal.
Now it's good to hear you're beginning to sort of chart your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there are some screenshots that we can go through here, and I'd love you to bring us through what you built and to talk us through the applications. Yeah, I thought it was nice maybe to actually see what we are talking about, what we are building. So what I said, our applications are very quite technical. There are a lot of integrations. There are a lot of integrations with other systems. It's more or less an information processing system, but this is the main screen people are working on. You can see a lot of, it's probably quite small, but gives an impression of a lot of functionality. What it says, all the parcels which a driver has to handle are on this screen. This is a planning screen, so we can balance routes. It's sometimes possible that routes are too big to handle, because our drivers, they work 8 hours a day. And if they have parcels for 15 hours, it's of course too much. So we have to change that, and we have to plan it to other routes. That's what this screen about. And it gives also all kinds of statuses. So exactly every status, if a parcel is delivered, if it's not delivered, if it's delivered by with neighbors, or something else happens, we get statuses back, and you see it on the screen in the middle. All the statuses. So on average, every parcel has 7 or 8 statuses. Times 1.7 million are a lot of events going through the system. So that's this screen about. The next one is information about what kind of services are on the parcel, what the driver has to do, in which route it's planned, if he needs to get a signature, if it's allowed to deliver with neighbors. So there's a whole list of properties of the parcel, which is also in the system. So this is about the application, the order management application, and the next screenshots are about this. Maybe you can leave it to the previous slide. So thank you. So on the right side, no, I mean this way.
On the right side, you see our CI/CD pipeline, which is another application which is developed along with this order management system, and it's meant for managing the very extended environment. And if you see in the middle, you see all the green lights. That's the status of our applications. It's even longer, so there are about 70 statuses. They are all green, luckily, because that means that everything is all right. But it can also be orange or red if something is happening. And this, this is kind of a monitoring function. So if you do the next one, so this in detail, you see, you see the green lights for every location, if everything is still running, if there are errors or warnings. The CI/CD pipeline also gives information, that's the next slide, about some certain KPIs. So on the right side is the next one. You see a detail of orders coming in, and that's actually a very particular shape for our sorting day. So we start at 6 o'clock in the morning, then the orders come running in, and it lasts until 12 o'clock, and then it slows down. Then all the orders have been processed. So we can observe the shapes of these graphs and see if everything is running smoothly. So it's a kind of monitoring function for KPIs. And the last slide, that's our the status of implementing new software. It's barely readable, I think, but this exactly states what software with which function has been rolled out to which node, to which app, and this is very important for seeing if everything has gone right. So if anything goes wrong, or if you want to look into detail, you can look in this application to find out what's if everything is okay, or if something should be taken care of. So that's a little bit impression of on the left side, the order management system, and on the right side, the CI/CD application management application, which gives an overview of the whole IT landscape.
That's great to hear about, and I love digging into this stuff. You guys are sort of on the ragged edge of what people are thinking of building on low code, and how sort of visionary and how visionary you are about it. I wanted to keep you on, Chris, and invite Ronald and Bram back. I'd love to move into Q&A. We have a couple questions in the queue. Just a note to folks that the Q&A button is at the bottom of the Zoom window. And if a question's for a particular person, please note who that person is in your question. Bram, perhaps we start with you, or Bram and Chris. There was a question around who's doing the implementing. I know we spoke about that mix between internal teams and partners. Could you dig into that a little bit more, in how you train people who come on board?
Yes. Well, we're of course we are hiring people with experience in developing Mendix, of course. Yes, since the way we use Mendix is kind of technical, it has a lot to do with this mission critical systems. We notice that this part is very important, so we train them extra in this, or they get learning on the job about how this works and how you should handle this extended landscape. So we have some extra. We pay extra attention to this to take people along in this matter.
Excellent. And another question here, are there any public-facing applications for partners or customers built with Mendix, or perhaps some ambition to do so? I'm editorializing there at the end, but for anybody here, Chris or Ronald or Bram.
So,
I don't think so. I think that most of our applications are focusing on our logistics operations, which are focused on supporting a parcel movement or shipment movement and drivers and depot or sorting center personnel. Not really on focusing on the commercial channels and things like that.
Another one around mobile. Are there any mobile applications or as part of the application landscape, or perhaps is there ambition to use mobile as a channel?
yes, we are carefully working on mobile applications within our international department. They are working on a Mendix mobile application. We have done some experiments with it, but not large scale at the moment. So the drivers, our PostNL drivers, do not use mobile software from Mendix, and that's no plan to introduce it there. So, but maybe on some other places we will definitely pay attention to this.
Excellent. In talking, there's a couple questions in here actually about your SAP landscape, what database you're using, the intersection with cloud. Would someone mind digging into that a little bit?
SAP in the logistical part is not playing a major role. It is in other parts of the company, but not at the supply chain we are currently looking at. And I could not tell a lot about that. What was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
What database you're using, what's running in the background there?
So on the background for the Mendix part, we're looking at what they can use from the Mendix cloud. And from other parts, we're looking at the AWS cloud native technologies in general part and everything that they offer. But there's not one thing in specific. There's also not one database. It depends on the place and the process you're looking at.
Excellent. In the last bit here, and someone I think was asking for clarification on what the data layer looks like and how Mendix apps communicate with the ERP or third-party systems. Is there some sort of integration, data platform, API management layer in between those things?
Yeah, we've different kind of integrations. So we have we use an ESB, an enterprise service bus for integrations. We do web services. We also have file integrations because yeah, that's also within logistics that we still support that. So we yeah, we have a lot of different types of integrations, and that I think it's with Mendix it's quite easy to integrate in all kind of ways. That it makes it's flexible. So if another system really wants file integration, something we can meet the requirement, and if it's web services needed, it's okay as well. So that makes it very useful for this application.
And there's a interesting question here. Are there business units who do not want to use Mendix, or perhaps softer than that, something you haven't gotten around to yet?
So I think we're looking at different IT platforms within PostNL and look at the technology that fits best for that system, and it's not very, at least not to my knowledge, bound to technologies specific to logistics. So Mendix could be used in many other places. If you look at, for instance, our cross-border organization, we use Mendix there for different things. So I don't think at the forehand I could say that there's places where we don't want to use it.
Makes sense. And then a little bit of a technical question around fallback. in the platform being down. How do you afford for that? What happens when something falls down?
We're using the AWS cloud for logistical purposes, and we have fallback on the Mendix apps, so regional fallback. So if something goes wrong on that layer, then it should fall back. We've been doing tests, so it's always how do you say it? It's changing from one data center to another data center automatically. And I think there's a possibility also to have, if something goes wrong in that country completely, if it disappears from the earth, then we can also it takes longer, but go to another cloud. But we've taken this into account because it's very important that of course it keeps on running, but because without this information we can't do proper logistics, and the parcels will keep coming in. And if we can't deliver them every day, then we get stock, and we can't handle that. So that's the IPT is really critical in that sense. Yeah.
So, I like this question. Given the current complexity of your application landscape, what are the testing strategies followed in order to ensure functional integrity, avoid regressions each time you do a deployment?
Yeah, we have I didn't mention it, but we have a very extended testing with different environments for testing. So we have, of course, this OTAP Street. That's the Dutch term, but you have a development environment, of course. You have a testing environment, an acceptance environment, and a production environment. We also have a performance environment where we do performance testing on, because we want to make sure if we add some new software that the performance of the application is still the same, or at least not slowing down. We have what we call a SOAK environment, which is fed all kind of production data. It's anonymized data because we're not allowed to do testing with, from the privacy point of view, we are not allowed to use anonymized data. So we are feeding this to the system so we can see how it performs based on this data. And actually we only need like postcodes and house numbers. These are important data for us, but the names of people and what they order is of course not important. So we don't use that. And we have automatic regression testing. We do a lot of unit testing, built in Mendix. We do our peer reviews. So if a developer develops something, we do 2 times a peer review on the quality of the software. We have tooling to judge the quality of the software. We do automatic regression testing, which runs every night to see if regression has occurred, and if so, we can detect that before going live. So we've taken a lot of measures to guarantee the quality, and of course the manual testing is there as well. So people look at it, and there is acceptance testing by the business. So a lot of testing steps, and we are working further on automating it.
Fantastic. Just a reminder to attendees, we probably won't catch your questions if they aren't put in the Q&A tool. However, I think we have time for 1 or 2 more before we move to wrap up. There's an interesting question around here. Is in the future use of perhaps Mendix Data Hub, or thinking about event-driven architecture with Apache Kafka. Any thoughts around that, or any plans around Data Hub or Kafka?
For Data, we're still discussing. And Kafka, maybe Bram knows something about that.
I think we have used Kafka already with integration to another system, but
I was looking the mute button, but I found it.
Okay.
So for the patience.
Yeah.
Yes, we built a direct integration with Kafka from Mendix Kafka for integrating with a AWS-based platform, the event management platform, together with your colleague Arjan from Kafka department, expert services. So yeah, we are integrating with Kafka. Does that answer the question?
So, and I think the last one here, maybe I'm combining two questions, so apologies to folks if I'm butchering both of these. But there are a couple questions around driver experience and what applications they're using. Could you talk about how they're interacting with the Mendix system, whether that's direct or indirect, whether it's on an application, how things like scanning integrate with the core system, really how the driver sort of bleeds back into the core systems work you've been doing?
Yeah, our drivers are not using the system. We have planners who use the system, and I saw a question: how many people do use the user interface at the same time? Well, we have about 3 to 4 people on every location who are doing the planning. So they are, yeah, I think about 100, 120 people working in the system. But since every location has its own set of apps, they are not working on the same. Yeah, they use the same user interface, but it's on the different apps. And I think we have our own drivers, and we do business with companies who have employed drivers, and the owners of those companies look into their own planning, so that these are external people, not from PostNL, so they are responsible for certain routes, and they log into the system to see what their work package for today is and how they should divide it between their employees. So they make use from outside of PostNL. So that's a kind of customer-facing interface. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think this is the end of my time here. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Bram. Thank you, Ronald. Also, thank you to the whole team, everyone, for welcoming me here. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to kick it back to Sophie to close us out.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Well, yeah, guys, during this meetup, we tried to explain the business story of what PostNL is doing with Mendix. And in the coming periods, we would actually, if you guys would like it, of course, host more technical Mendix meetups, where we really dive into, technical topics. So I hope that everyone can see a poll popping up right now, because we have a question to you. If you're interested, please fill this one in. So in the future, we would like to host more technical Mendix meetups. Which topics would you be interested in? If I am correct, you can actually select multiple answers. So I will just give you guys 1 minute to answer this question, and then we can also see the results, and then we will definitely take your answers into consideration while organizing a new meetup. Okay, well, I think we see the answers. So thank you everyone for answering. So I can see that many people are interested in high volume processing. So how, we actually process scalable performance and how we do this. So we can definitely dive into this topic in the next time. And I also see that many people are interested in application management and our development of best practices, but also testing, such as unit testing and scenario testing. So I think lots of things to talk about. I hope that everyone was interested during this meetup, and I hope that you guys liked it. I hope that you guys are also a bit more enthusiastic about our company. Hopefully, during a follow-up meeting, we can do it physically. That would be amazing. for now we need to stick to the rules. So thank you very much. I will just share my screen for the end slides, and